Good day everyone, it is Caitlin, and today we are making baby shirts for the very early 19th century in two different sizes. Hello and welcome. We're going to make some baby shifts today. This is actually called a closed shirt for infants, and there's lots of different styles for this type of thing. I opted for the style that is very similar, if not identical, to women's shifts because it's an easy thing for me to do. It requires a bit more work than some of the other shirts. Some of the shirts I could have done was, basically it has all to do with sleeve styles and shapes. I could have done a very, again, like a little shift, shaped top. I opted to do none of that. It's just going to be very simple. It's going to be a little bit more gathered, but I'm trying to get this to be worn until the age of 5 or so. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get going. I'm cutting two sizes. The first size is 9 months, and I already have those all cut out. I've been working on them. We're going to go ahead and cut out the 2 years. So that's 9 months to 2 years. It's 2 years to 5 years. So kind of a big gap here. Well, that's close enough. I think I'm going to go with it. It'll be a little short, but it is a shirt. That'll be close enough. And that should be 4. I'm going to cut 4 shirts. So remember my rule: 1 to wear plus a spare, unless it's underwear, in which it's 1 for each day of an event plus an extra. And because shirts are underwear, we're doing 1 a day plus an extra. Of course, I need a back too, so I got to cut this again. And then we'll cut sleeves. Actually, I'm going to need to iron this a little bit. Sleeves and gussets, which I've misplaced my gusset pattern, so I'm just going to have to make one up real quick. Hopefully they're squares, so they're pretty easy. But we are using a cotton linen blend, just like we did with the open shirts, because these are the earlier shifts. So this will take us from we're calling it 1800 or 1810 to 1830s, through the 1830s. Technically, I probably should make something else for 18 teens, but I only do that once a year. And this has the construction techniques that are correct. I just think that it would be a longer sleeve. But we're going to go with it for right now. And if we end up doing more Regency events, then I will gladly make more closed shirts. And because these are early 18 teens to 1830s, they will be entirely hand-stitched, as is the right thing to do. So these are going to be quite cool, at least for a 2-year-old. But it should even out by the age of 5-ish. Again, we're trying to make sure it fits a 5-year-old. Or up to a 5-year-old. I cut 4 sleeves at one time. I should be able to do that. Ooh, and get a gusset. Oh, that's good. Perfect. Okay. These will be sleeves for 2 of them. And eventually I am publishing a children's book, or pattern book, I suppose. How to make everything. So this will be included in there, as well as several other shapes. And the first step will be sewing the sleeves and gussets together. Alright, now I have 4 shirts cut. We can go ahead and get sewing, starting with sleeves and gussets, and then we're stitching those in and doing the side seams. Alright, so let's go sew these together. I have a sleeve and a gusset. I'm going to match these edges because they should be exactly the same. Gusset can be a little smaller than the sleeve, but you can't have it the other way. And then on the adjacent corner, I'm going to put the other short end of the sleeve. And I'm doing a run and fell seam. And you do all of this in one seam. So we're doing our running part first. And before I turn the corner, I do usually like to kind of double do that stitch. And then we're going to go on this side and start sewing at the other end. So now I have, this is the inside sleeve that's going to attach to the chemise, and there's the little outside of the sleeve. This is where the arm would come out of. So you have this nice little bias piece that's going to move and give you a little bit of strength as well as ease of movement. So what we're going to do now is cut off half of one side. Either the front or the back, it doesn't particularly matter. I've already cut that one. This is the one that needs to be cut. I'm filling all mine to go out, not out, meaning here's the gusset, so I'm hemming them that way instead of inside the gusset, but you can do either one. And ideally you would iron and press this before you stitched anything else. But I'm just kind of going very, very fast here. Folding that over to create a nice finished edge. Do the same thing on this other end. Now we have finished edges. This is a really good, I mean, you use the thrown and fill seam for most underwear, but it's really good for children's stuff because any other type of seam finishing will leave like a loose edge that's going to flip back and forth, and that can be very irritating to a newborn baby sensitive skin. So this makes everything really flat right up against the fabric. There's nothing really to rub or to move, so it's extra better for babies, even though it's a typical undergarment stitch anyway. So now we're going to hem the sleeve. Now the workman's guide does specifically say to run the actual sleeve down the selvage, and if you follow the directions, then you wouldn't actually have to hem it because it would be on the selvage and therefore be finished. But I didn't follow directions, so I'm going to have to hem these. If you have a fabric with a very modern selvage with like this little wispy flyaway ends, you're going to want to have to hem that anyway, because you don't see those on period selvages. You want something that's, you know, just the fabric without the little wispy bits. And we're going to hem that. Basically, it's just like felling. But again, if you follow directions and cut yours without or on the selvage, then you wouldn't have to do this step. Also, I am not trimming these shifts, mostly because it's very rare to see shifts that were decorated in the 1830s and 20s and that sort of thing. It just didn't seem to be a thing yet to have really pretty shifts and chemises. The most decoration you'll see, some of them have red embroidery on the front, just the initials of the wearer. And other than that, I've seen ruffles, self-fabric ruffles. So like you take the actual fabric, you narrow hem it, and you use that as your ruffle. I've seen that on necklines and sleeve hems, but that is the only other trim I've seen on these early undergarments. It doesn't seem to be until the 1840s that we really start decorating our underwear. So this is just going to all be very plain. Baby shirts will sometimes have, I've seen some fancier ones with the lace on them like we did last time. But as far as actual shifts go, and because this is basically just a shift, a short shift, I decided not to trim that at all. Your social class, so the person you're portraying, is going to be more told through the fabrics that you choose as opposed to the trimmings you used, at least for baby's underwear. I chose the cotton linen because it's nice and soft. It's not super fine, so I don't think I could do like super upper class with this, but I could get to middle class with this. And although most extremely poor women are making, well, I say most, the Workman's Guide suggests Osnaburg or very rough fabrics for super lower class. You do see a lot of people getting basically charity boxes for their babies. Like wealthier women would do this for poorer women. So you could very well be poor and get a nice either cast-off shift or one that was in a charity box. So I could have a little bit of a nicer material even if I was doing super poor class. So right now what I'm doing is I'm taking the actual shirt and I'm just stitching the shoulder seams. We're going to fell this same as before. Now we're going to attach the sleeve. So I have my shoulder seam. This is the exact middle of the seam that we just did. So I did, you maybe notice while I was talking, I marked the center of the sleeve, so I'm going to put them right sides together to match the tops. And we're just going to pin it in plainly. You could also make the sleeve wider and do like a little bit of a ruffle at the top, or a little not really ruffle, so it would be gathering. That just seemed like more work. So I've been starting right here, it's been easier. And then going around, doing it all in one thread. Again, it's just another run of felting. So I'm going to cut off half of just one side like we've done before for a little felt seam. So now we pin that down and we go ahead and fell this. Actually, I'm very glad that these are all plain because that saves me a lot of time in trimming. So really all we have to do after doing this is hemming and then adding the drawstring at the neckline and finishing out the neckline. Because I'm not going to do any embroidery on this. I want to be used for all my kids, so I'm not going to put anyone's name into it. I'm just going to mark the size, which I think we're going to have a whole separate video on how I'm doing that, just because I haven't been doing it as we've gone along, and so now I have a bunch of stuff that needs to have sizes put in. And that's not necessarily a period thing, that's going to be for my own sanity. We're using period marking techniques, we're just not doing period marking. But yeah, I'm going to get all the shirts to this point, and I'm going to need a break for a while doing all this hand sewing. I am so happy. I am so happy the next two shirts, or two types of shirts that we're doing, are machine sewn eras. It's going to make things so much easier. At least faster. It'll be faster. And I just bought a new machine that we're going to use for it. I have quite a bit more of this to do. So we'll just go ahead and skip the video to the next step, which I'm not sure if I'm going to do hemming first or if I'm going to do the neckline first. I have reasons for doing both first. I kind of probably want to save hemming for last because that's going to be the easiest part. And I'll be exhausted by then. Part of me wants to go ahead and do the easy part now because I'm kind of already tired of this. I know by the end of all these shirts, I'm going to be so tired of making shirts and chemises. I'm just going to be so done with it. Y'all probably be done with watching all of it. Because that is a lot of basically the same thing over and over and over again. Good news is the next couple of ones that we're doing do look different. They're going to be different styles. Alright, working on the neckline at this point. So I just cut a little slit on each of the corners, folded it over at the seam allowance, just kind of all around. So I've been sewing this on. I've been putting in the ties while I sew them in. So the back side's done. I'm going to go ahead and do the front side of this one. Trying to fold in wherever there are raw edges. And at these very edges, I've just been kind of going over, not even a buttonhole stitch, but just folding the thread over in hopes that it keeps it from, you know, ripping or anything. It's on the bias, it shouldn't, but just as a little extra security, just doing it like that. So my ties are basically the length of the whole, I guess, opening. And of course we need two for each. They're basically twice as long as they should be. That gives me extra room to tie. And I have lost my lacy needle, or misplaced the lacy needle, so I'm not using the right needle for this, and it's been very annoying, but we're going to keep working on this. I'm actually going to put a few more pins in here. Mark the center, that way I know where to kind of come out. And I'm being incredibly lazy. I am not doing eyelets, which I probably should be doing. I'm just kind of popping the lace out wherever it needs to come out and hoping that stays together and doesn't rip. Just right around that halfway point, I'm just on the front, pulling my needle through, and I lost it. That's why I hate this needle. I had the right needle yesterday. I got misplaced and Rhett was looking for stuff, so I think it just, you know, fell between cracks or somewhere. We'll have to find it later. Letting that kind of just slide right in there. That'll, apparently I stabbed myself a little bit with a little blood. Pro tip, if you bleed on a project, you can use your saliva to get the blood out. No one else's saliva will work, but if you get your blood on a project, you can use your saliva to get it off and not leave a stain. I have used that many, many times. When I am sewing in the ties, I'm just using whip stitch basically. And we're just doing a whip stitch, or a hem stitch really. We would call it a whip stitch today. And I'm trying very hard not to catch the twill tape that we just put in, because otherwise it won't move. I stitch it in place. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch all the way across here, and then I'm going to put in the other tape here, kind of within those edges. And because this sleeve's already done, then I'll be done with this, and I can move on to doing the hemming. I gotta say, I'm very, very much looking forward to doing some things by machine next week. I miss machine work. I never thought I'd say that, because I actually like hand work, but I've been doing nothing but maybe stuff by hand for what seems like weeks at this point, and I'm ready to use the machine. Alright, hemming it. So it's the same stitch we did for the top, except for this time I don't have any corners to turn, and I don't have any laces to put in. After this, they're done, and we get to talk about it, and then I get to move on to the next project. So I'll just continue going around in this manner, get the other ones done, and meet you back with some finished shirts. Here are our little shirts. So for the smaller size, for the bigger size, I mean, you can kind of tell the difference. There's not a huge difference, but there's a little bit of a difference. These sleeves like to keep doing that. I think I just need to iron them. So what they look like, they're nice and big. And you pull these and make it fit baby. Isn't that cute? And for storage, they lay flat, which is really nice. I was trying to make up a whole one. Let's see, maybe about that. You can tie a little bow, distribute that a little bit better. And let's do the back to match. So the nice thing about the ties is that it will fit a variety of sizes. It'll never get too, narrow for baby. It'll get too short before it gets too narrow. But look at that. It looks like a little tiny chemise. With no cords on the side and it's a bit short. But that's not so bad. And this is a little bit longer, but not by much. So I'm wondering if I really should have made them a good 2-3 inches longer than I did. And they're all very plain. They worked up. I mean, it felt like it took forever, but that's just because I've been on shirts for a while, because we made the open shirts and we did this, and now I have 2 other types of shirts I need to make, which I think is just, I'm kind of overrun with shirts, and I'm ready to be done with shirts and move on to something else, because even petticoats sound better at this point. Yeah, that's definitely not going to get to, it really probably should have been just a bit longer. Yeah, about 2 inches. But I think it'll still cover the stays, so I think we'll be okay. But yeah, those are our little baby shirts. I mean, look at them. There's the one made up. They're so cute. Baby clothes are always cute, though. You know what I am excited about? I'm excited about working with something that's not white. I am so looking forward to getting to dresses where I can do prints and fun stuff. I mean, yeah, we're going to do white dresses too. Some of the embroidered ones, but the first ones we're going to do are all that lower class print dresses, and I'm so excited, because I'm very excited to work on something that's not white for a change. But for this week, we are all complete. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Click that little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next video.